We're going live. We're having reports of new attacks launched by Iran against Israel as part of its True Promise free operations taking place since Friday following the attacks of the Israeli regime against Iranian civilian and military infrastructures. This is the third day of continued exchange of fire between Iran and Israel, as we were saying, as part of the Operation True Promise Free, which is a legitimate defense of the Iranian government in the face of the aggressions perpetrated by Israel since the early hours of Friday, from the night between Thursday to Friday, that targeted different objectives and also killing high military chiefs and senior nuclear scientists in that first wave of attacks. Since then, Israel has continued launching its missile strikes not only against military structures and objectives in different parts of Iran, but also against civilian targets. As per the reports, there are over 80 people killed right now in Iran throughout these days of Israeli strikes, and among them 20 children have been reported killed, 20 Iranian children. In response to this, the Iranian air forces have carried out retaliatory strikes against Tel Aviv, also impacting heavy damage to key infrastructure of the Zionist regime of Israel. What is happening right now is a new wave of attacks from Iran in retaliation to the earlier strikes of today from the Israeli military against Iran. Different targets in Tel Aviv. This is right now what is happening, a new wave of Iranian strikes against the Israeli capital. Also today, earlier as we were saying, there were loud explosions that were heard near the Mehrabad airport in western Tehran. Earlier during the day, Israeli forces began attacking different areas of Tehran, and local media confirmed the activation of the air defense throughout the Iranian capital, and the blasts were reportedly the engaging of the air defenses targeting unidentified aerial objects that were engaging in attacks on the Iranian capital. Also, in the context of what has been happening in today is that Iran published, as they have been saying previously, we must remember that Iran had said that it was in possession of important classified documents from Israel, and Iran began publishing today the first documents of that they were saying they had, and these documents show that the International Atomic Energy Agency chief Rafael Grossi was coordinating with Israel and was carrying out Israel's direct orders. So these are classified documents that Iran just published, which show the complicity of this international agency chief with Israel in all its actions that have been carried out, and shows the double standard that is being witnessed as this exchange of fire is happening. Also today, the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian had a telephone conversation with his Iraqi counterpart Abdul Latif Rashid, telling him that if Israeli aggressions against Iran continues, which is what is happening, Iran's response will be more severe and decisive, which is also what we're seeing, because we also heard statements from the foreign minister earlier today of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, saying that Iran did not begin this war, but will certainly be able to stand against it and will be able to provide its response, and also said that Iran doesn't wish for the situation to escalate, that if Israel stops its attacks, they would stop theirs as well, and they don't want the war to escalate to neighboring countries unless there is force upon them. Iran will continue to exercise its legitimate right to defense, which is what's being stated by the Iranian authorities. This has also been condemned by different sectors, by different authorities worldwide have condemned what is happening. From Arab peoples in this sense, several Arab countries celebrated Iran's retaliatory attacks against Israeli targets, and the people celebrated the successful punitive operation against the Israeli occupation regime, which Iranians, including Iranians, Palestinians, Lebanese, and Turks. It should be noted that this operation began, as we were saying, after Iranian leader Ayatollah Said Khamenei broadcast a televised message, and the attacks were carried out in response to the Israeli regime's aggression against Iran, which left dozens of martyrs, including high-ranking military commanders and nuclear scientists. In conversations with the UK Foreign Minister, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi described as unfounded the calls for Tehran to exercise restraint. It's something that happened earlier on Saturday, because in the face of the Israeli regime's aggression, we also see there the evidence of the double standards. How is Israel the one that first launches its strikes against Iranian civilian and military targets, and then the United Kingdom is calling on Iran to show restraint? While emphasizing that Iran's response to this aggression, said the foreign minister of Iran, based on the United Nations Charter, will be forceful and definitive. In response to a wave of Israeli airstrikes during the early hours, the Islamic Republic of Iran launched a large-scale military operation called, has been named Operation True Promise Free, attacking several strategic points of the Zionist entity. We've also had reactions coming from other countries, like from Venezuela. The Venezuelan government declared that it is an act of war that adds to a long history of crimes committed by the Netanyahu regime, whose machinery of destruction operates outside the law. And Venezuela demands the immediate cessation of all hostilities by Israel, which has turned its foreign policy into a permanent threat to peace in Western Asia. From the Russian part, Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also expressed its rejection and denounced the aggressions of the Israeli regime against the people of Iran carried out in the early morning of June 13th. In a statement, it said, "We express extreme concern about the dangerous escalation of tension in the Middle East, and we strongly condemn the military action undertaken in the early hours of June 13th by the State of Israel in violation of the Charter of the United Nations and the norm of international law." So this is what is right now happening, a new exchange of this Sunday of fire. Israel has been targeting different objectives, like the vicinities of an airport in the capital of Iran, and now Iran is launching its also retaliatory strikes against the Israeli capital. Right now we are seeing the live images of the skyline as the attack has been announced by different authorities. And all this comes, as we have been informed, since the Israeli regime launched its first airstrikes on Iran on early Friday, to which Iran responded with a barrage of drones and missiles, and Israel said it aimed to prevent the Islamic Republic from acquiring nuclear weapons, which is the justification for everything that they're right now doing. Their alleged justification, but without proving any kind of evidence, because as we have been reporting, Tehran has over again and again said and provided evidence that their nuclear project is for peaceful means, for energy. So Tehran condemns this attack as a blatant aggression and vowed a crushing response, which is also what we have been witnessing. And all this came in the context of before the sixth round, which was supposed of nuclear negotiations, nuclear talks, indirect talks that were being held between the US and Iran, that were due to take place this Sunday in Oman. They were due to be happening, and they had been confirmed by both parties to happen this Sunday, today, in Oman, but of course following the actions, which pretty much the Israeli action is a clear sabotage. They didn't want this to be resolved peacefully, and through negotiation is a clear sabotage to peace. Following this, the Israeli action, of course, the talks were suspended until indefinitely for the time being. So around early Friday morning, just as a recap, early Friday morning, around 200 Israeli fighter jets struck targets across Iran, including a uranium enrichment facility in Natanz, which strikes were also reported at nuclear sites in Fordo and Isfahan, as well as military airfields near the cities of Hamadan and Tabriz. These strikes against nuclear targets will show a complete disregard for the safety not only of Iran but of the region and the stability of the region, because attacking a nuclear facility might have dire consequences for the entire region, not only for Iran, if contamination, if pollution happens due to radioactivity, due to damage to key infrastructure of these nuclear sites. Almost 80 people, as we reported, were killed and over 320 injured in the attacks. This is what the report that was given by the Iranian ambassador to the UN, and he also confirmed the death of military leaders, including Major General Hossein Salami, the commander of the elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And also between these 80 people that were killed is the one we were saying that were also 20 children, which completely showed also Israel's disregard for life. But this is something that we have grown accustomed to, as we have seen the genocide that has been committed for over 2 years now against the Palestinian people in Gaza, with over 55,000 people, civilians, killed.